She has publicly identified as a lesbian and even refused to undergo the Olympic medical examination. Reports claim this refusal was tied to the fact that she was born with a Y chromosome and displays multiple male characteristics.
This is taking place. Brittney Griner comes out and says, I am so sick and tired of the NBA, the WNBA. It used to be a peaceful, small little thing. Now there's crowds screaming, hollering.
Connecticut debut at Dallas. This is her second stint with
Rickea and
Brittney
Griner.
Griner and Jackson.
Rickea Jackson just threw herself into the Brittney Griner conversation, dropping a plot twist that sheds light on the long-standing tension between them. And yes, it ties directly to the rumors swirling around Brittney's true identity, the one the WNBA allegedly shaped to fit its agenda. For years, Rickea kept quiet, unsure what to do with what she'd learned. But now, with people labeling her a troublemaker, she's ready to expose Brittney and let fans decide who the real villain is. This WNBA saga has more twists than a telenovela, so let's get into it.
It makes absolutely no sense for you to, on one hand, say you're standing up for women's rights and women's pay, and then on the other hand saying it's criminal that a biological man plays in women's sports. As you are competing in women's sports and not the NBA, if you felt like there was no difference, there was no advantages that men have, then why don't you play in the NBA?
In the past few months, the WNBA has gone from being seen as a dusty, overlooked league to one of the most controversial in all of sports. And at the center of the chaos are two major players, Rickea Jackson and Brittney Griner, whose sudden feud has everyone talking. Rickea isn't pulling any punches, openly claiming that Brittney has been protected as the league's woke poster child, while allegedly breaking the very eligibility rules every other player has to follow. The real twist, though, is how Rickea claims she found out the truth. It all goes back to a Sparks versus Mercury game last September, when a routine box-out play suddenly turned explosive. Out of nowhere, Brittney swung her elbow and caught Rickea square in the face, sparking a heated on-court clash that had to be broken up by teammates and coaches. And according to Rickea, that moment was just the beginning of her realizing something much bigger was being covered up.
Debut at Dallas. This is her second stint with
Rickea and Griner.
Griner and Jackson.
That developed very quickly.
Both Brittney and Rickea ended up fouled out of the game. But when they finally returned, the energy in the arena told the whole story. The crowd had already picked a side, and it definitely wasn't Brittney. Every time Rickea touched the ball, the cheers got louder. Every time Brittney moved, the boos rolled in heavier. It was obvious the fans weren't just reacting to that elbow. They were reacting to something deeper, something that had been brewing long before that night.
But here comes Rickea Jackson. I don't know that she knows that she's been tossed from this game.
Fans were stunned by the entire altercation, and it instantly became the headline of the game. Brittney was clearly the one who initiated it, but what shocked people even more was her reaction afterward. Instead of showing any remorse, she brushed it off like nothing had happened. Her only response was, "It's basketball. Stuff gets heated. Like, there's nothing personal. I like Rickea. I like her game, so no hard feelings or anything like that. It's part of the game." Yes, basketball gets physical, but there's a huge difference between natural competitiveness and deliberately hurting another player than acting like it didn't matter. That's not just bad sportsmanship, that's malice. And the fact that it all went down in front of the world only amplified the backlash, but that wasn't the end. Rickea, though not a rookie at the time, was still stunned by how intense and reckless Brittney's physicality was in what should have been an ordinary play. The aggression didn't add up, and it pushed Rickea to quietly start looking into Brittney, on her own. What she found didn't just surprise her, it completely flipped her view of the WNBA upside down. Rickea had always known the league had its share of secrets, but never in a million years did she expect to stumble onto something this scandalous. To realize that one of the league's star players might be competing under false pretenses and worse, being actively shielded by the WNBA for the sake of optics, was almost too much to process. And of course, that player was none other than Brittney Griner. Suddenly, all of Brittney's reckless fouls and over-the-top physicality started to make sense. It wasn't just confidence. It was the security of knowing the league's higher-ups would protect her no matter what. And let's be honest, Brittney's career has always been littered with controversies that play out on camera. Time after time, teammates and opponents alike have complained about her being unnecessarily rough. When multiple players on the same roster start reporting injuries from practice, and rival teams leave games with bruises after facing one player, you can't call that coincidence anymore, that's a pattern. The wild part? People act like these. Complaints are exaggerated. They're not. We've all seen the clips of Brittney manhandling players on the court. And for the newer fans, you've at least seen the viral footage of her going after Caitlin Clark with the kind of aggression that had everybody talking. Rickea took notice of all of this, and deep down, she knew there had to be more to the story.
Brittney Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark. I mean, pretty obviously doing so.
Tech fouls that we were talking about earlier today.
And it doesn't take a lot of genius to lip read Brittney Griner, whose voice, by the way, is about as low as mine is, calling her trash and an effing white girl. Now, of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever suggested the same in reverse, using black as opposed to white in that sentence, that'd be the end of her WNBA career. But Brittney Griner is going strong. It's totally fine.
So the big question became, how is it possible that Brittney walks away from these heated encounters completely unscathed, while other players are sidelined for multiple games nursing injuries? Something clearly wasn't adding up, and it didn't. Take long for people, fans, commentators, even fellow athletes to start whispering the same conclusion. The reason Brittney seems to have such an overwhelming physical advantage over other WNBA players is because she's simply not playing on the same level as them. And let's be real, this is the very reason men's and women's sports have always been separated. It's not about insulting anyone or devaluing talent, it's about maintaining fairness. For decades, medical experts have studied the physiological differences between male and female athletes. They've documented the gaps in stamina, lung capacity, muscle mass, bone density, height, weight, agility, and recovery time. The data is undeniable. Men and women are built differently. And when it comes to competitive sports, those differences matter. That's why every sport in the world has separate male and female divisions. It's not about one gender being better than the other. It's about science, genetics, and ensuring that athletes compete on a level playing field.
Can you play or can you not play? Do you have an advantage or are you at a disadvantage? It's not even that hard. Biological men don't play against biological women. Why? Because they will be dusting you off all day long. Do you think that Brittney Griner can play in the NBA? F no. She wouldn't even make any team in the NBA. Brittney Griner wouldn't make a single NBA team roster. None. She wouldn't even be on a practice squad. And you know what they do during training? This is what makes me infuriated. You know what the women do when they train in basketball? They play against men who are not professional. Because the women ain't gonna push them to be better. The men are gonna push them. And she know that, I know that, you know that. But they still get on stage and be disingenuous and foolish. Nobody's trying to block a transgender for playing sports. You just can't cheat, bruh. Why is there no trans man being ousted in sports? Why? A woman turned into a man. Why don't we see any examples? Show me an example of a woman turning into a man and winning first place. Because we know it don't happen.
So what does it really mean when a supposed female player displays physical traits and abilities that give her an almost unfair edge over everyone else? That's when people began connecting the dots and questioning the bigger picture. Take Brittney's topless Instagram video, for instance. Normally, any woman posting something like that would have been flagged instantly for nudity, pulled down within minutes, or at least blurred by the platform. But Brittney's post stayed up for years without a single strike. No takedown, no blur, nothing. It was almost as if even Instagram's AI couldn't figure out what it was looking at, so instead of labeling it, the system just let it slide. And that tiny detail added even more fuel to the fire for those already suspicious.
Brittney Griner is, in fact, a man. One of the videos that give us cause to say that is this video. It is from her Instagram stories from years and years ago. And when it comes to Instagram, they use a combination of like AI detection and plus manual surveyors to make sure that no explicit content ends up on the platform. So clearly whatever AI detection system was used when Brittany posted this and it stayed up for 106 weeks was not like, oh, this is a female chest, we have to take this down. Oftentimes, if breast cancer runs in a family, women will preemptively get like double mastectomies. And there's some great surgeons out there, don't get me wrong, but I don't see any scars on Brittany's chest that would be indicative of a double mastectomy or top surgery for gender transition.
Now here's where things get even more intriguing. During her digging into the whole situation, Rickea allegedly stumbled upon medical records that seemed to confirm what many had already been whispering, that Brittney Griner isn't who she has claimed to be. According to these claims, the truth points in a completely different direction, raising the big question: how is she allowed to play in the WNBA at all? Behind this, Rickea believes, lie 3 unsettling truths. Yes, Brittany has been married twice, but that doesn't explain how such sensitive information could land in Rickea's hands. What most fans don't know is that Rickea's rapid rise in the league gave her close ties to WNBA executives. Her talent opened doors, and when she wanted answers about another player, she knew exactly who to ask and how to get them. After Rickea uncovered what she believed to be Brittany's real identity, their relationship quickly soured. Just a year ago, the two had a somewhat friendly rivalry, fierce competition on the court, but mutual respect away from it. That dynamic shifted almost overnight. Once Rickea felt she had discovered the truth, their bond went from cordial to full-blown hostility. What frustrated Rickea most wasn't only the idea that Brittany was allegedly breaking one of the league's most fundamental rules. It was realizing that, even with the truth in her hands, nothing could be done. To her, Brittany wasn't just being shielded by the WNBA, it felt like the entire system was protecting her. And when you consider the fact that Brittany was swapped in a high-profile prisoner exchange for an arms dealer infamously called the Merchant of Death, it only added fuel to Rickea's belief that bigger forces were at play.
Brittney Griner was in a Russian prison. You would think that somebody who is now free, back in America, on home soil, would not have too much to complain about. Especially something like this. Fans in every sport. She described the fans.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what sport you are. It doesn't matter what sport you pick. That's how fans act in every arena. In every arena. So, and then when you, clearly she's not remembering who they let out to get her back.
The Merchant of Death.
The Merchant of Death. An arms dealer that wanted to kill American citizens, according to the reports. That's who they let out. For her. You would think that you would be smiling, you would be ecstatic, you would be happy, and something like this wouldn't faze you at all. The fact that it does is disturbing. I'll leave it at that.
Brittany's supporters never answer the real question. In what world does it make sense to trade a basketball player for a convicted terrorist? The only explanation is protection. The government didn't want her secrets exposed. If it came out that the WNBA had deceived fans for years, the lawsuits alone would destroy the league's reputation. Rickea Jackson isn't stopping here. Finding out the truth was just step 1. Now she's ready to use that knowledge to expose who's protecting Brittany inside the league. The only question is whether Brittany catches on before the scandal blows wide open.